Well, in a bombshell interview with Good Morning America, Prince Harry has revealed he's considered applying for United States citizenship. The Duke says he's loving his new life in America so much that he may even take the test for the green card.
Do I feel American? No, I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Would you think about becoming a citizen?
I have considered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What would stop you from doing it?
I have no idea. I'm here standing next to this with these guys. And the American citizenship is is a thought that has crossed my mind, but certainly not something that's a high priority for me right now.
Well, TalkTV's royal correspondent Rupert Bell joins me now. Rupert, fascinating that the symbol of Britain, a member of the royal family, although not a working royal, of course, anymore, is thinking of becoming an American, or at least the thought has crossed his mind. I wonder how seriously he's taking it, Rupert. What's your assessment of that?
I think it probably has crossed his mind, but I wouldn't think it's a top priority. But it does show you where his mind is, and that his new life is in America. And as he's also indicated in this interview, that his family is in America. Well, it's a pretty small family because it's his wife and 2 children, because everyone seems to be estranged from their respective families. So it's a very small unit that is his family now in America. But yes, he's come over and he's seen Charles, and he didn't say any more than what was very much didn't reveal anything about his father's condition, but obviously said he was pleased to find the time to go and see him. And he says he will, on his visits to the UK and maybe around Europe, he will pop in from time to time. But it does seem to indicate that the bridge between the families is still a pretty big one. And he did what any son would want to do and see his father. But it's useful because it highlights his royal connections. And this appearance in the Invictus Games, I had to, and the sort of drumming up support for it, is what he's good at. You know, hurtling down a skeleton run requires a certain degree of courage, and he's pretty fearless, as we know. So it was all good PR for the Invictus Games. So you can't knock it. You can see why he's done this interview as well, because it's to draw and focus on the Invictus Games. But inevitably, there's always going to be spotlight on him and Meghan, and all the talk of what's going on behind the scenes and what's the subplot to it all, and where's it going to lead with Sussex.com and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So there's been a lot of focus on it, but ultimately, we want it to make money for Invictus Games, which I have nothing but admiration for the participants in particular.
Yes, I wonder, as part of that, whether Harry will be using the words of W.E. Henley in Invictus, the poem, saying, "I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul." Certainly his own determination in regard to his own position has been very interesting, and especially in his relationship with his family. That's something else he was asked about in the Good Morning America interview. Let's have a look at this.
I love my family. The fact that I was able to get on a plane and go and see him and spend any time with him, I'm grateful for that.
I've also found in my own life that sort of an illness in the family can have a galvanizing or sort of reunifying effect for a family. Absolutely. Is that possible in this case? Yeah,
I'm sure. You know, throughout all these families, I see it on a day-to-day basis. You know, the strength of the family unit coming together. I think any illness, any sickness brings families together.
He was sort of trying there, Rupert, perhaps not to go into too much detail, and perhaps a little bit reluctant to answer that question. I wonder if that is because of the pressure he's been under, or just because he knew it was coming, and actually maybe we had to say something.
He had to say something, and you wouldn't have expected him to say anything else. But when you just look at it, you think if he loves his family so much, perhaps he shouldn't be attacking them the whole time. But it's natural that he wants to see his father. Interesting, the person doing the interview is William Reeve, who is the son of Christopher Reeve, lost his mother at a relatively young age. I think she was only 44 when she died. And of course, his father was paralyzed in a riding accident, the former Superman accident. So you can understand where he was interviewing from personal experience, but where the answer is, he was quickly then to talk about the other members, the Invictus family and the soldiers. And
he deflected there quickly, didn't he, Rupert?
He did deflect it quickly, but that was noticeable because I'm sure that there is not much love lost between him and the rest of the family, and they don't want to see him at the moment. It's as simple as that. There may be 1 or 2 members who still are trying to keep the doors open. And it would be perfectly normal, his father and his son, anytime, even if there is frosty relations between them, it is quite right that Harry wants to see his father. But there's still an overriding suspicion that everything is being done for their gain. And until they really can sit round and build the trust again between them, the love is a very frosty one at the moment, a bit like the conditions in Whistler.
It's a very, very good point, Rupert. Well, he's doing a good thing with the Invictus Games. We can absolutely agree on that. And yeah, it's very, very interesting, actually, in terms of the visit that he had over here. It was only about 30 minutes or so, but of course, maybe that's on medical orders. Maybe, we've all visited people in hospital and been told, actually, they can only really stand sort of 30 minutes. I've been in hospital, and it is exhausting sometimes having people chatting to you for that length of time. But actually, he gave very, very little away, and he's been criticised for giving too much away in so many ways, and spare on his podcast and so on. But actually, maybe he's decided that discretion is the better part of valour, Rupert.
Well, and that's what I think the royal family in this country want to see, that he's not a blabbermouth and not going to spill as soon as he gets away from the royal family sort of cushion or cocoon, as it were, that he's going to talk to the next person who's available. So I think they want to see the trust, because it's the King's decision what he reveals with regard to his illness. And the fact that he said he's cancer is unusual for the royal family to be as open as he has been. So it's not in his behest to actually go out and tell people what is wrong with his father. So at least he's realised that. And I don't know how much he knows about Kate's condition, but again, probably not a lot, because they would be worried about him spilling the beans. So this may be a baby step into building trust, because no one's going to decry him the efforts that he puts in to the Invictus Games. But ultimately, we've seen the website trying to distance himself from that he's not part of the royal family. But as you come back to the
except when it suits him, Rupert. Except when it suits him. Except that website, using the Sussex title. I mean, many people will say that's a breach of what he agreed with the Queen.
Yeah, yes, and using the coats of arms is a classic example. If you don't want to be part of it, and in this interview with William Reed for Good Morning America, there he is saying, my family's in the States. And as we began this interview, alluding to the fact that some stage he may become an American citizen. So an American, where they don't believe in titles, does that mean if he did become an American citizen, would he have to renounce his title? Because they don't tend to have dukes and duchesses in America, as far as I can see.
Very, very big question.
So I don't know whether there's a precedent.
Yeah, very big question that will remain. Thank you, Rupert.